So there's this underlying consensus that exists as you develop and grow up to build something of yourself, whether by like opportunities in career or just trying to make yourself rise into a status where they can't critique you, or you have like uh, your own grounded version of yourself firmly planted on the ground, so that that way you have your identity set up. And it's that the things that you start with at first, you have no choice but to just not bring them on the way with you when you're building yourself up in that regard. And it's not exactly because you choose not to. It's not like you one day decide you want to leave your good people behind, or that these people are no longer helpful to you. It's just that the responsibilities stack up as you become an adult, and you just feel like you have to prioritize time with either those things that you know can give you a grander opportunity for yourself, or just more time with them. And those decisions are often the hardest to make, especially now. For context, it's the day after Thanksgiving. I didn't even spend time with my family Thanksgiving because I'm still here at this school of mine. It was for a good reason, though. I mean, to be fair, I already saw them last week for an event I think is absolutely way more important than an annual holiday, which was the wedding of a sibling. I imagine you know how that's a once in a lifetime thing. I wouldn't want to miss that, and then I go home and it gets awkward because I missed that. So that's out of the question. But of course, it does still make me melancholic. It makes me think about the sacrifices I'll have to make on scales much more grander than a simple I have to stay for a holiday to get work done to prioritize my education. And along those lines, I found this sweet little article called "I Don't Want My Whole Life to Be an Act of Letting Go." And I read the article, and I actually think I think it's a very vulnerable one at that. It's one that I applaud. There's a couple of sentences that stuck to me the best from reading it, but I would say that like I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I will like pick apart those said sentences and expand on them from my raw, like already like preconceived notions of how I've been living my life, because I really do agree with the title of this article, and I hope that that sentiment stays the more I develop these responsibilities and just try my best to become a trusted adult. You know, for example, this is like the seventh to eighth paragraph, but here's a good quote I like. It says, "It's exhausting. This constant cycle of attachment and release. It makes you question everything. Am I the problem? Am I destined to drift from one thing to the next, never truly finding what I'm looking for? Is this just how life is meant to be? A series of arrivals and departures, beginnings and endings?" I really like that. And it made me think about the quote that about like who you are as you meet these people and they come and go, whereas to say which is to say they call you like they refer to themselves as a mosaic of the traits of the people that you really love. Like you're a mosaic of everyone you loved. And I just feel like um as you get older and you leave those people behind because of something that isn't up to you, like those irreplaceable things that are in your mosaic, they go away. And I feel like that's a type of hurt that no one has described yet. And it even says so, I think, here in this article. Like, let me see if I could try to find it. Um, yeah, yeah, it says right here. So it says, "There's a loneliness in it all that I can't quite put into words. It's not just about losing people or places, it's about losing pieces of myself along the way. With every goodbye, it feels like I leave a part of my heart behind, scattered across the places I've been and the people I've loved. And after a while, you start to wonder if there's anything left to give." And that really struck me, because how many times have I done something with a new person in my life, whether it's like a friend or just a temporary candidate I have to settle things with in a professional setting, and I instinctually do something that the person that engulfed this way of acting used to be around me, and I adopted it. And I do the said action and I think about that person. And then I remember that they're not there anymore. Or that like there hasn't been a chance of trying to reconcile being with them anymore. And it really pains me to think about that a lot of times, because it just reminds me how much farther I've gone in the crusade to get known in a society such as this one. And I, for one, actually think that's very tiring. I hate it when that happens. I don't like thinking about it. I hate it when the thought is even like slightly implanted onto me, because like I think about those old people, and then I just get like really upset at the fact that they're not looking at me go the way I know I would look at them go. They like they're not there to cheer me on the same way I know I would be there if I could to cheer them on. But we know that on both of our ends, our hands are tied, and that's just something that we apparently have to accept. I disagree, at least with the culture and the city I've been brought up with, but it's hard out there, especially in lands such as these. And then I'll get to the end point of this article here. So here's something that they said as a contest to that. They said, I want to believe that life isn't just about loss, that for every goodbye, there's a hello waiting on the horizon, that for every ending, there's a new beginning, and that maybe, just maybe, one day I'll find the thing I've been searching for all along. And then they reinforced that with this paragraph saying that I think about what it would mean to finally arrive, to stop feeling like a wanderer, like someone who's always passing through, to build a life where I don't have to pack up and move on, where I could just put down roots and watch them grow. I want to know what it feels like to stay. And I think that paragraph impacts me the most because with how I've climbed the ranks in higher education, I've met all sorts of people that are like amazing in their character if I just had the time to spend so much meaningful moments with them than like the time frame allows us to have, so that it's not so confining, so that way we actually develop naturally. And I really get upset thinking about that. How many stories could I have listened to them if I had more time to develop something meaningful with them, that they finally decide to be vulnerable with me, and then vice versa? I really think about that often. And then, what else? There's another sentence here I really, really enjoy, but I can't seem to find it, so just give me a moment. Let's see. Okay, here's one. Maybe that's what life is really about. Not just the letting go, but the moments when you stumble upon something worth holding on to. And maybe, when that moment comes, I'll finally understand what it feels like to stay, to belong, to love without fear of loss. Until then, I'll keep hoping, keep searching, and keep believing. Because even though I've let go of so much, I still hold on to this. The hope that someday, I'll find my forever. And I'm pretty sure they were talking about like a significant other, like the potential of a significant other, which is not a bad chase within itself. Believe me, it is a very lonely time for not just me, but for all of us. I've seen my generation struggle with love. I have a lot of things to say about that, but I think they were trying to keep this vague, but like obviously you know what they were leaning towards, but I know it's more than that. And I'm pretty sure the person who wrote this is also aware of that too. But nah, man, it's like, I read this and I got pretty sentimental. Like I understood exactly how this felt, to just like have this chase for greatness, but at like the cost of constantly saying goodbye. The people that you want to see you go through the path of. That's why I still keep the friends I'm still in contact with after all this time, because I just believe that they should see all parts of me, not just the parts where there's only one time frame of me, and then who knows, maybe I have to leave them behind because of time zones or the distance and traveling to the places where I can achieve my dreams, and then like I'm a completely different person, and then that like makes the notion that there was something that happened that they weren't there to witness, that I very much wish they were there to witness. Stuff like that. Like waking up and then knowing that it's not a mistake to stand where you currently are, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, like not just the whole people love you for who you are, the vulnerable parts, not just the highs, but the lows and the midterm parts. But like the kind of, as it says here, the kind of peace that doesn't feel temporary, a joy that doesn't come with an expiration date. Like, I know what they're talking about here, I assume. I think like such a long-standing background with a person that you love, or an environment that you love, or a community that you love so much that you know full well it's a part of you now. Like, it's not gonna go away. Like, it has wired your frame of reference to react a certain way, to to look at things a certain way and to process things a certain way. And I can't help but feel like that's exactly what I lack right now. It has been not good in terms of trying to find these types of areas. I partially blame myself, but I don't know, man. It just seems like so many things want their hands on you. And I'm not saying that in some sort of like unpopular sort of way. I'm not even talking just about humans. Deadlines, assignments, career choices, internships, anything to get my foot in the door, to get known, as they call it. But I look at that journey and what it entails, and I think about what I've had to leave behind, or to just put on like such a cruel, indefinite pause. And I constantly ask myself in such dark moments when they arrive, like, is this really what I want to do? Like, granted, I want to go, I want to have something respectable. I want to have some sort of like self-standing thing. I want to say I'm made in my own image, you know? Like, there was no external thing that built me up already. Like, I'm actually original in my authenticity, and I'm not copying somebody else. That would be a sad life to live. But rather that, like, these people that I keep around me, like it is with the Mosaic, they build you up and they give you these like traits that don't have their faces on it. Like, they have these sort of amazing parts of them that are pure in themselves, and then it's injected into you. Like, you have a better way to deal with things now because of that environment and those like pure notions that you learn along the way. And I wish I sometimes that I was in other places where that was more common. Because in a chase like this and the things I'm trying to do for my own life, it's just, I haven't seen any of that in the slightest. And I haven't seen it so much that it's almost deluded me to think very stupid things. Like, I don't know, it's just things that entail violence, things that have been reactionary with violence, things that leave a vulnerable person to fall into dangerous places in an ideological sort of manner. And you're probably asking, what the hell are you talking about? Well, a good example of this, I would say, is about just like the matter of having a current epidemic of loneliness, as they call it. I've seen some people call this thing the male loneliness epidemic. I don't buy it. I'm pretty sure the other gender is also lonely. I'm pretty sure it's not just males who get lonely. And what's more is that I always find the people who are crusading to push this rhetoric never include like all men, like all of the same gender. The people that push this rhetoric exclude the ones that I assume are impacted the most. So you got like these stupid fucking social media figures talking about the male loneliness epidemic, but they don't account for trans men, they don't account for gay men, they don't account for anyone that's even marginalized. And like, I'm like, okay, well, that's the first red flag. And then they start blaming women. What the fuck? And no. This is not the way we're supposed to handle it. This is not the way you do it. Because, I mean, of course girls get lonely too, I imagine. I don't know what it's like to be one. But like, the way they've been dealing with it, the stories they've told that I've heard about how they dealt with such grievances, it didn't lead them into a path of like hatred or violence. I've never seen that from women before. And so I'm saying to myself, okay, well then what the fuck is up with us? Why are like you're saying the right message, but your execution for a remedy is so terrible. It's so garbage. And then I realized the figures that claim this notion are not actually interested in helping such people. They are more in a predatory fashion trying to guide those vulnerable people who can't fight back because they're like miserable and like broken in their will, to do such terrible things to people that are having it just as bad, and driving them to do terrible actions, to say terrible things, and like all while like claiming it's a remedy. And I don't buy it. I don't. I've seen people be tainted by that logic for quite some time. But I can't help but also pity them. Like maybe it's the fact that they actually believed for a moment that that was the only way they could get, that type of stuff. And like for that I say, wow, I really hope I never end up like you. But it could also be like the fact that like there's no one like there's no one collective that pushes against that bullshit, that like says, hey guys, this is not actually the solution. The real solution is this. But it's not as popular, is it? They don't have a face to say, well, if you want to stop being alone, head to these resources, head to these environments that will remedy it. Don't pursue hatred or any sort of violence. Like, I don't know how people keep fucking forgetting, but like violence by pen is also just as dangerous as violence by the sword. And so I'm saying to myself, okay, these guys are lost, of course. They're broken in their wills. They're demoralized. But they're also being manipulated. I feel really bad. And I'm noticing that constantly. At one point when I was much younger and stupider, I guess I kind of fell for that logic. Not to that degree. I wasn't going around plastering these stupid notions or believing. Actually, I was entertained by the dumbass notion, but I wasn't executing. But it's not like that was any better. And so this has led me to do terrible things, like just not to like violence, but like just rhetoric, saying things I can't take back to people that actually did care about me, saying things to people that have no choice but to care about me, the way I treated my parents, my family, the younger siblings of mine that I have been trying my best to be a good role model for. And then it also just impacts the way I perceive myself, which I think is like the most damaging thing as well. Like, you're not taking yourself into account. You're not actually helping yourself by spreading such dangerous philosophies and rhetoric and logic. And so it causes you to go into an even worse downward spiral. And while I am happy I completely grew out of it, I had amazing figures in my life that snapped me out of it. And just the matter of understanding that kind of lifestyle was not for me, at least not with the identity I have and can't and won't change. But that, like, there are people that I pity that don't have that. And I really wish they did. All I can do is fight that crusade, not just obviously in public or in forums or in academic settings, but at home, to treat those people and apologize and just, say I'm sorry for those types of things. But it's hard. It's hard. It's not hard to take accountability. It's just hard to present yourself to let them know you actually do mean the regret that you say you are feeling. Because if you word it terribly, it will not go well. And this is something I've caught myself in constantly. It's not that that it's like I have a lack of remorse. Like, I've genuinely had that all the time. It's just that I feel so scared by how the message will be received that I don't even entertain the possibility of going forward and trying to take accountability. So much so that I separate myself from the collective and environment that is literally there for me to feel welcome in, and makes me such a self-sabotaging prick. I know I have been that for a while now, and I'm trying my best to not be that, but at least I'm aware of how that is damaging, not just to others when it happens to them, but to me and the people I love as well. That is honestly the greatest lesson I've learned this entire fall season for this year. It's also made me what has been very accepting of myself. It has made me forgive myself a million times over, even if I know full well the other people on the other end that I've wronged have every right to not forgive me. It's so hard to run away from that conceived like version of you that's like confined and not going to change, to those people that you wronged. And you have to go about knowing you changed from that. But it hurts because they'll never see you as anything other than that version that you have long since tried to kill. And it's just a damaging tale at that. It's one that is exhausting. It is one that I try my best not to think about. But then, like, those moments of solidarity and loneliness occur, and you can't help but be triggered by those thoughts again. So you ask yourself, what then? Well, you got to make sure first you take accountability, and then you have to make sure that you continue. That, like, irrespective of those feelings, you need to continue to pace through the nonsense you're currently facing, so that obviously the sooner you can get out of it. You can't relish in those feelings thinking that an external force is going to not only validify it, but like somehow pull you out of that so that you can feel better. It's just not realistic. And so badly many times I wanted to believe that, but it's not true. It's not fucking happening. That's it really, but I mean, at least that's the personal matter. You could talk about it in a societal context, but I'm way too tired to do that right now. But yeah, I assume just when you have these types of melancholic moments, you have to just take a step back and look at what it is that you're chasing, the prices of what it is that you're chasing. Not just materialistically, but emotionally. Like, what kind of things will drain you down in a context where it's not just your body hurting? How do you remedy that? Is the biggest question to ask. You finally wake up and confront that when you take a step back and you take a moment to audit yourself, like the real you, not the you that you're trying to present yourself as, but like the you that you got to deal with every other inconveniencing moment with. And once you start there, you can make sure that the journey will look a little bit brighter at the end of the tunnel when you fall into those dark moments again. And you keep that on loop until one day the mold breaks and you're no longer in that space anymore. That you continue to hold out with those types of environments that you have no choice but to face, and then finally the payoff comes. I don't know or couldn't tell you what the payoff looks like. I just know that you would much rather prefer it compared to either where you were then or who you have been trying to outrun this whole time in the chase towards that.